Welcome back to the channel, guys. Sorry I'm only catching up now. It's been a crazy weekend with the Speedrun Cup 4. Thank you for all your messages. A lot of people sent me messages asking how it's going, how am I able to fly so fast. You see, I posted a live link this time around that just broadcasted my progress, and a lot of pilots were following it. In the future, we will have a live map that shows the progress of all the pilots, and I think that's going to change the Speedrun Cup a bit more into a spectator sport. A lot of new subscribers to the channel. If you don't know what the Speedrun Cup is all about, then go visit the Facebook page. There are some images on the what the rules are, etc. But just in a nutshell, the Speedrun Cup is a medium cross-country race. Between 130 and 150 kilometers. The last one was 182 kilometers, but it was a unique location. We made use of that. The only rules would be that there are 1 to 2 mandatory landing sites. The pilot can position his fuel at those sites if he's got a fuel-eating monster or a machine. It just, as long as you stay within, you stay in the race. So that means if you need more fuel, you can put fuel at any of those locations. And then the only main important rule would be that pilots are not allowed to overload the max weight of their gliders. So we are a bit different from slalom flying. We're not flying over water, we're flying over very wild terrain. Just this past weekend, I was thinking, I was blasting right on the deck all the way through to the midpoint, and I was thinking to myself, it's, if somebody had to retrieve me here, it'd take them hours to get to me. So it's pretty isolated places. We're flying straight lines because we want to win. And you need a reliable machine, and if your engine, for some reason, because we're pushing it so hard, we are flying speed bar for the full amount of time, and if you have a reliability issue and you're going down, then you don't want an enormous amount of sink rate and have a safety issue where you're not able to perform less than perfect landing. All right, so Speedrun Cup 4 results. Came in pole position, winning the 4th race in the season. It was 2 hours 17 minutes for 182 kilometers, and that allowed me to break my previous average speed record, which was 66.7 kilometers an hour. It is now 78 kilometers an hour, and I'm really happy to finish the season with that kind of result. All right, second place went to Jaco Swanepoel. He came in with a Hadron 3. Did it in 2 hours 33 minutes. Very valiant effort. I had no idea that a Hadron 3 could be that fast. He's put a speed bar on it, and he's been pushing the crap out of his machine and his wing, and the result is magnificent. It was a nail-biting race between him and Francois. Now, Francois is an international NRT cross-country racing pilot. He flies a warp, and at the turn point, they both had to refuel. Both chose to refuel, and Francois had a blown takeoff because there was a bit of a surface rotor wind coming through. You'll see that takeoff from Jaco in the images I'm putting up. It's just that wing is so amazing. It was able to adjust itself to that kind of rotor and changing wind condition. It was able to execute a perfect takeoff, and that gave him the opportunity to move ahead in front of Francois, and Francois finished in 2 hours 52 minutes in the end. So that's it for the season. We've had 4 races, like I said, but the last time's result, this last race's result, gave us gave all the pilots the same podium position and the same finishing position in the season. So I finished in first place with 100 points. We used the same scoring system as F1 motor racing. Jaco finished with 36 points and Francois with 33 points. So that last victory to Jaco just shifted him ahead of Francois. On the manufacturer's index, the difference between gliders and machines, Nirvana takes the manufacturer's prize, the most amount of points, and the same for Dudek. So yeah, it's NRT and Dudek for the top 3 places, and then it starts breaking up into even positions among all the other pilots that finished the other races. And pilots were pretty consistent throughout the season. Most of the pilots took part in all of the races, 1 or 2 missed here and there. Team Red Bull did not take part in the last race because they were switching between brands, equipment and gliders, and because of that, it's just the supply chain issues. They were not able to get their equipment in time. I think they've been waiting something like 2 months for their gear to arrive. So unfortunately, I was looking forward to racing that ITV Piper, but that'll have to wait until next year. There's some other brands coming into the fold as well. I'm really excited to see some of the Motor R's coming into the race, and we've flown so many different brands. We've had Air Conception, we've had HE, we've had Moster, we've had a lot of Nirvanas taking part, and it's just been great to see all these different brands come together for this type of racing. Now, I just want to say a couple of things about the reason why I created the Speedrun Cup. Mainly it was created because I wanted to bring pilots into cross-country flying, because cross-country flying is so good for pilot skills, for developing pilot skills. You get to learn more about weather conditions, you get to learn about dodging challenging areas like rotor, etc. You get to do a lot of mathematics when it comes to flying. Check out one of my videos on the channel where I talk a lot about the on-the-fly calculations that you've got to make to be effective at knowing your fuel burn, your fuel economy, your speed calculations, your distance you're able to reach, and all these kinds of things which are really important. So inexperienced pilots coming into the Speedrun Cup, you don't necessarily have to race, but you can do something like the Donut Run, which is our division of just adventure flying in the Cup, and you get to share the airspace with other advanced pilots, and you get to learn more about it. If I had to take my Speedrun Cup times of the first race compared to the fourth race, I've honed my own skills when it comes to speed flying. I could have even lost to someone like Jaco Swanepoel that came into second place if I had to compare the times. So that's the main reason. The second reason and final reason, I would say, is basically that it gives pilots a good perspective on the tool that they've picked and how that fits into what kind of job to do. Now, a cross-country machine and a cross-country glider isn't good for slalom racing. So you're not going to buy one tool that you can use for every kind of job. And let's face it, most of us will never do slalom racing. It's not the kind of flying that we do. Most of us do cross-country flying. That is the closest thing to just having, doing sport flying around the field and doing some distance and flying to your friends and whatever else. So learning the skills in cross-country is important, and also knowing the limitations of your equipment when you're flying distances. That is part of what the Speedrun Cup will teach you. It'll teach you how your brand stacks up as far as flying with a speed bar goes, flying compared to other brands, flying compared to other glider brands, and in the end you'll know how your equipment fits into the picture, the overall picture with all the brands in the marketplace. And it's been a really good atmosphere. We don't have any politics in the Speedrun Cup. I've specifically invited pilots, racing pilots that partake with that fly other brands, and at times I've even cancelled or postponed a race to make sure those pilots can be there so we can take it further. And because of that kind of political environment, you're seeing teams grow into the sport where they feel comfortable to do that. We've got the NRT team and you've got the Red Bull team. They don't fly the same pieces of equipment. Maybe in the future that'll change, but right now they still have their own choices. And we'll see more teams grow into it as well. A lot of international regions are going to join the Speedrun Cup. We're going to have multiple Speedrun Cups in the USA. I think there's a lot of space for that to grow in the USA. There's a lot of good pilots in the USA. And I'd like to motivate you guys to grow into it, to grow the sport over there. It's going to be fantastic to see how all these international pilots stack up with their times. Yeah, we've got some in Europe, and I've heard of some in the Middle East that want to kick off as well. So we are definitely going to see a very busy 2022 season when it comes to Speedrun Cup. Some new divisions that we're going to be launching as well will be the Speedrun Tag Team, which will be flying to the halfway point, tagging your partner, he flies back. So we are covering the logistics as far as the sponsor goes. And that's going to be fun as well. So, and then there's going to be the Speedrun XL, which will be twice the maximum distance that we've done so far, somewhere between 300 and 350 kilometers, with an overnight worked into that. Yeah, so the one big problem I had with the Icarus was that it wasn't a frequent enough event for how much pilots really wanted to partake in these kinds of things. You've got an Icarus, your main Icarus once a year, and you've got an Icarus extra to your local country. And the thing is that pilots want to do this more often. There really is a demand for it. and the Speedrun Cup fills that. You can have, you know, if there's an organizer for a Speedrun Cup, he could have up to 6 or 7 races per year. And whether you want to fly competitive or whether you want to have fun and just, you know, blast the trail with your mates, that really is the environment to do it, and that's why it's growing so quickly here in South Africa. All right guys, thank you for watching the video. If you've got any questions, if you need any help designing your gear, adapting your gear, questions about the different kinds of product brands, we have a mountain of data with all the competitors that have taken part, and we can advise on these things. But yeah, let me know your thoughts, and I'll be seeing you in the skies.